Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett and thanks for spending some time with me today because in this video, we're talking all about some tips to decorate small spaces, specifically your living room, but you can use them in any area of your home. And we are gonna get these spaces decorated and looking large and stunning. Now, the first tip you have to do when you're decorating a small space is you have to shop small. Things have to be the appropriate scale for that room. And sometimes that means getting like an apartment-sized sofa or something a little smaller with some more refined lines to it, right? I don't want something that feels bulky and heavy and is oversized because then it's gonna take up the whole room and we just don't have space for it. So getting something that's a little smaller, you can use that to your advantage. And it doesn't have to mean you sacrifice on the usage, right? It doesn't have to be a sofa you're just sitting on. It can be something that has a little extra depth, that maybe has a chaise you can lounge on and put your feet up on and you can relax on it. So just look for something like that. It's a little smaller in scale. Another area to look for something that's smaller is a coffee table, right? In the living room, we have to be able to get onto the sofa. So like if we have a big, oversized, overwhelming coffee table, like, okay, we got plenty of surface there, but we don't have enough floor to get into anything. So in that area, I might look for 2 nesting tables instead of 1 large coffee table, or I may even opt to do a coffee table and an ottoman layered together so that I get a more linear effect and I have these slightly smaller pieces. Because remember, when you see more of the floor, the room is going to look bigger. So these smaller pieces let you see more of the floor and then the room feels more open and much larger. And the same thing goes for an accent chair. Look for something that has slightly smaller proportions and is more open underneath so it feels a lot bigger than it is. Now there are some areas you cannot skimp on the size of, and that's okay, but for those areas where we can get furniture pieces that are just a little more compact and have a little bit more refined lines to them, it's the way to go to take the fullest advantage of your space. Now, sometimes the way you're gonna take advantage of your space is not just through the size of furniture, it's gonna be the placement of it. And I'm not just talking about like, what layout are you gonna use? Usually in a small living room, this is pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward, and you don't have a lot of options, and that's okay. But when it comes down to like, where are we gonna put the sofa? Put the sofa against the wall. Okay, don't limit yourself to some of these design rules and it's like expensive homes don't have the sofa against the wall. Okay, well small homes do. So what are you gonna do about that? And sometimes just because your house is small doesn't mean it's inexpensive, right? Look at any major city and the housing price is there and tell me what's what. But don't be afraid to break some of the rules to make your space work for you. If you're gonna put your sofa against a wall, for example, like do it. I mean, like I can fit my hand behind this sofa here, but it's pretty much against the wall because this is it's my office, it's my studio here in the house. It's not my living room. So like sometimes I have to make that compromise and that's okay. If you're going to do that, do it, but then let's go oversized on the rug so it feels really layered and intentional instead of it just being like, well, the rug's in the middle of the room, the sofa's against the wall, right? Like we can provide those layers in the space that makes it feel luxurious and beautiful and expensive while taking advantage of every inch of space we have. Plus, if you said to me, Garrett, should I either have my sofa off of the wall but go for a smaller one or have it against the wall and go for something a little deeper, I would say, what are you gonna use? The deeper one is probably more relaxing and a little more comfortable, so then go for the deeper sofa and put it against the wall, and then let's get the right size rug for that. I want the rug to go halfway to 3/4 of the way under the sofa, so I wouldn't have it touch the wall if I had the option of it not touching the wall. That way we get that layered look. It feels intentional. It feels like we have a big, beautiful, oversized rug. We have a coffee table, maybe a chair or 2 across from you, a console under the TV that's the right size. This is going to make your space feel good, actually be usable, and it will make you have access to more of the floor, and that makes your living room feel bigger. So 10 out of 10 for me. Don't be afraid to push the boundaries on design. Put the sofa against the wall. It's okay. It doesn't mean your house is cheap, okay? It just means that like you're actually using good design principles and taking advantage of your space. So look out to do those things and your living room will feel big, beautiful, and you will actually be able to enjoy and use it, which is the whole point of having a space in your home. I know sometimes it's hard to make those decisions on your own, but don't be worried about it because I've got you covered. I have your back. You can always book a one-on-one virtual design consultation with me where you can show me around your home and I can answer some of those difficult questions for you. We can figure out the perfect layout for you. We can take the most advantage of a small space, or we can figure out how to decorate a really big one and have a lot of fun too. So be sure you head to the link in the description box down below or go to intro.co/GarrettLeChic. Now, while you're down there checking out that link, be sure you head over to my Amazon storefront where I have got all of my favorite products linked, and there's some great things in there that can help you decorate your home and get it looking gorgeous, whether it is a small home or it's a large. So be sure you check it out, linked in the description box down below. Another trick I like to use in a space that's a little smaller, maybe it has lower ceilings, is to use low profile lighting. And that basically means I don't want lighting that's super tall or hangs really low because it's gonna make the space feel cluttered and full. I wanna have really great lighting. I love that, it's one of my favorite things in the world. You all know this. But if we have lower profile lighting, it means that we can actually kind of open the space up and it feels a little bit bigger to have a light that's closer to the ceiling. And I'm not saying go for something flush mounted or, you know, you have to have like a chandelier that's hung like one link below on the chain, like from the ceiling. It doesn't have to be that thing, but it can be something that's just a little closer or projects light upward onto the ceiling. There's also 1,000,001 hacks in my Amazon storefront for like renter friendly ideas you can use to cover up an ugly light fixture and add something pretty on there. So be sure you check it out in the description box down below. And also be sure you're thinking about where else can I add lighting into my home. So like one of my favorite places is behind a television, right? There's LED lights you can have that actually follow the movement on the screen, or it's just a really soft, beautiful glow because most of us have a TV in our living rooms and that's okay. You can also do low profile lamps on either side of a sofa. Those are really beautiful to get that soft glow and feel without, you know, having a harsh bulb just exposed or like some big tall lamp where you can see under it and see a bulb. I really dislike that because it just makes the space uncomfortable. So use some of these best practices and put them in place so you actually like the space you're in. Also, if you're doing floor lamps, for example, I like a lamp that I can angle towards a wall so the light shines onto the wall. I get a soft and beautiful glow that doesn't feel obtrusive, obnoxious, large, and overwhelming for the space. You can do something more refined that has that look to it. So all of these are really important things to remember. Look to see where can you add lighting in a creative way and what sort of lighting is out there. Right now, these like really low looking lamps are super in that project light downwards. Those are beautiful too, especially on a lower piece of furniture to get that look. Also, don't forget about your coffee table. If it's floating in the middle of the space, a rechargeable light is a 10 out of 10. I absolutely love them to add a little bit of extra lighting into an area where you don't have access to a plug and you don't want cables or wires. Love that for you. Another trick to use in a small living room is to make sure your television console is the right size. I really don't love when I see a TV that has an inappropriate size console underneath. And what I mean by that is it's just too small. I don't want to have a little tiny console underneath a TV because if you have a big TV, which that's just where we are, okay? Like if you're gonna hang out in your living room, you probably wanna have a big TV, so get a big TV and that's fine, but have a console underneath it that is the correct size. 1.5 times the length of the TV is a good starting point. It's going to create a really strong sense of balance, right? We're gonna have something bigger below a really big thing like the TV, and so it's going to balance out the proportions, and that's great. Plus we get a little bit of space on either side of the TV where we could add a lamp, we could add a tall piece of decor so it feels good and we can actually have things on there that aren't blocking the TV or covering it up. And if you can go even bigger than that, I suggest it. I had a client I recommended, she had something built in wall to wall underneath her TV, so we had a lot of extra storage space, we had a lot of space for some oversized decor pieces, which is also a great recommendation for a small living room. Go bigger on your decor instead of having a lot of little things that feel cluttered. But that was something that would work out well for her. We could mount LED lighting underneath, so she had some beautiful soft lighting. It felt very luxurious, it looked beautiful, and it got her to the point where like we were ticking all of the boxes, adding extra storage, and it's a built-in. These are really good things to think about, especially in a small space. Like you want to take advantage of every inch of space you have, so if you can go with a built-in, that might make sense for you. Hang it a little bit lower so the television's at the correct height, and then we can really go oversized with it. We can add some beautiful decor. Stacks of coffee table books, catch-all trays and candles are great. We can also add some low profile lighting on top of that too. do lights behind the TV. These are all great practices to put into place to get your space looking and feeling beautiful and luxurious and intentional, like it's supposed to be that way. And if you're on a budget, you can actually get 2 smaller pieces as long as they have clean square corners and sides on them, and you can put them right next to each other and nobody can tell the difference. No matter what your home is or your style is, be sure you're thinking about these principles and putting them into place, and be sure you're getting some great design advice, which you clearly have found here. So be sure you join us and hit that subscribe button. We would absolutely love to have you as a part of our LeChic family, where we talk about interior design and things that make our houses look beautiful, and I'd love to have you as a part of our LeChic family. So hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and I'd also appreciate if everybody could give this video a little bit of hype to get it shared across YouTube's platform. Another trick that's going to make your living room look bigger, more beautiful, and just be more stunning, I don't know what to tell you, is to use height to your advantage. If you have a small living room, you may not have a lot of floor space, and that's okay, right? Like, that's fine. Not everybody does, and we get it, but what everybody does have is ceiling height. Like, your ceilings are a guaranteed height, like whether it's 8 feet, 9 feet, 10 feet, like you have taller ceilings. And so let's take advantage of them. And I'm not gonna say hang your artwork higher. I'm gonna say get bigger artwork that sits a little higher, right? I don't wanna see small pieces hung too high. I wanna see artwork that's oversized. That way we get that vertical element. I wanna see you take your drapery floor to ceiling so we get more of those vertical lines. I wanna see you do a ceiling accent or detail, add a medallion onto your ceiling, paint it an interesting color, add crown molding so that our eye is drawn upwards, right? So we get this more vertical element. It's going to make a small space look bigger, it's gonna make the ceilings look taller, and it will distract us from the fact that there's not a lot of space down below. So using height to your advantage is a great trick in a small living room. And there are more vertical elements you could use. Like I said, big oversized artwork is a great one to bring into your space, right? It brings your eye upward. You could use bookcases, like floor to ceiling bookcases. That's a great place to bring a vertical element in. Or we can use some tricks to draw your eye to the ceiling. Maybe it's extra trim and detail. Maybe you're painting it an interesting color, an accent color. Maybe you actually color drench your entire living room so that we kind of blur the boundaries of where things start and stop. That can be an interesting trick to use as well. Once we add like floor to ceiling drapes in a color drenched room, forget about it. I can't tell you how tall the ceilings are. And if I can't tell you, that's saying something, because I'm pretty good with measurements. I could clock, 8 feet, 9 feet, but that's a tricky one because you're playing around and disguising where those boundaries are. So use some vertical elements to help you take advantage of your space. Now, that's not to say I want everything to be vertical. I want most of the furniture down below to sit a little bit lower, to be more horizontal. This creates an imbalance in the space, right? We have these big, tall vertical elements, and then we have some low profile ones. It creates the illusion that those taller elements are taller than they are. This is a trick a lot of theme parks use, or they use to create movies, right? We play with the dimensions and we create the illusion that things are taller than they are by pairing them with things that are smaller than they are. So when you do that, you're going to make your ceilings look taller. We use height to distract from the fact a room is small. I love this trick, okay? It's like playing with psychology, right? Like, this is very interesting to me. So do this to your advantage and your space will be stunning. Something you should be thinking about doing in a small space is the level of contrast you are using. And what is contrast, right? It's a difference between two things. So black and white are two different things, and they're contrast and they stand out. But if I wanted to use really high contrast, that's what I would go for. I'd go for black and white because they are the opposites, right? They stand out from each other. But in a smaller space, using really high contrast isn't always your best friend. Sometimes you want to use low contrast, and that means I want to use tones and colors that are very similar to each other. Not necessarily the same, but similar. An example would be here in this space behind me, right? I have cream colored walls. They're an off-white. It's a color called Asiago. It's beautiful. It's a soft white. My sofa is almost the same exact color. So they're blending in together. There's not a lot of contrast there. When I have framed artwork in this space, it's framed in either gold or it's framed in wood and brown tones, because that is a softer contrast. It's closer in color and tone than something like a black frame would be, because I want to minimize that. It draws a little less attention to it, but it also doesn't distract my eye. I'm not drawn to it as much, and it creates a sense of lightness in the space. It doesn't have to be light, okay? Like you could do dark navy walls and then do wooden frames or black frames on them. That's less contrast than having a silver frame, right? Because it's closer in tone to the color of the wall. Using that lower contrast creates a space that is softer, that's easier to take in and see, and it doesn't distract us, it doesn't draw our attention to one point or another. That's kind of the same thing as color drenching, right? Like if you paint your ceiling a dark color and your walls a dark color, they don't stand out as much as painting your walls a dark color and your ceilings a dark color. So if you paint your ceiling a dark color, it may look a little bit lower actually. It'll draw your attention to it, but it might look a little lower, as where color drenching isn't gonna do that. You can use this trick in many different areas. One of my favorites is with drapery. So we do floor to ceiling drapes, right? That's always gonna make your space look taller. Your ceilings are gonna look high and it's gonna look stunning. What I'll do in my home is use brass hardware because it's a softer transition, right? It's not like black, it's not bronze, it's not drawing too much of my attention because things are already so light and so bright. I'm using a lot of these principles in place, like oversized artwork and lower furniture that are making my ceilings look taller in my home. So using a lower contrast moment like that plays to my advantage, as where if you have a lot of heavier things down below, we need some of that weight up above. So I might use a bronze drapery rod in that place to really create that dramatic difference in height and feeling. Those are tricks you can use. Lower contrast is always going to make a space look softer and easier to take in, whether you're using all darks or all light tones. Using all of these tips together will get your living room looking stunning and beautiful. And whether you want it to look bigger or just more luxurious, these tricks will help get you there. Now, no matter what you're looking to achieve, no matter what size your living room is, be sure you check out this video right here all about some of the best living room layouts you could possibly use, and I will see you over there.